US intelligence agencies have assessed that Saudi Arabia is now actively manufacturing its own ballistic missiles with the help of China. For decades, there has been disappointment with US policy toward the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and this disappointment and anger has become acute in the late 6 months. The Middle East also has suffered from growing disenchantment with the United States. China has developed strong relations with US allies and adversaries alike. There is also a military strand that runs through bilateral ties. Countries and populations felt that a closer relationship with China would give them the ability to resist US hegemony and resist demands to reshape their domestic and foreign policy to reflect US preferences. Even US partners and allies felt that the US had enjoyed monopoly power in the Middle East for too long, and competition would benefit them. To a remarkable degree, there is great regional enthusiasm for stronger relationships with China. In part, this stems from a general sense that China is a rising power in the world, and closer ties with the country are prudent. The Saudi Crown Prince said that Saudi Arabia and China have a long history of friendly exchanges. Under the strategic guidance of King Salman and President Xi, Saudi Arabia-China relations have maintained a high level of development, and the two countries are reliable comprehensive strategic partners to each other. China prioritizes Saudi Arabia in overall diplomacy, particularly in Middle East. China and Saudi Arabia, as major developing countries, share extensive common interests. China puts the development of relations with Saudi Arabia as a priority in its overall diplomacy, especially in its Middle East diplomacy. China and Saudi Arabia have maintained mutual respect, trust, and benefit, as well as mutual learning and understanding. The bilateral relationship has developed comprehensively, rapidly, and deeply, with fruitful results in various areas of cooperation. China is willing to firmly support each other with Saudi Arabia and work towards mutual achievements, firmly regard each other's development as an important opportunity. China supports Saudi Arabia in playing a greater role in international and regional affairs and is ready to enhance multilateral coordination with Saudi Arabia. Foster unity and cooperation among Asian nations, with high-level political mutual trust and deepening cooperation in various fields. Saudi Arabia looks forward to further strengthening high-level exchanges with China and enhancing communication and cooperation in areas such as energy, investment, technology and military. The two sides signed several bilateral cooperation documents. Saudi Arabia is known to have purchased ballistic missiles from China in the past, but has never been able to build its own until now, according to 3 sources familiar with the latest intelligence. Satellite images obtained by CNN also suggest the kingdom is currently manufacturing the weapons in at least one location. US intelligence agencies have assessed that Saudi Arabia is now actively manufacturing its own ballistic missiles with the help of China. The Chinese-Saudi relationship is more robust than merely an energy relationship. There is also a military strand that runs through bilateral ties. Starting in the 1980s, Saudi Arabia occasionally saw China as a source for weapons that the United States would not provide, such as the CSS-2 missiles. This trend has continued, with China reportedly selling Saudi Arabia drone aircrafts and helping Saudi Arabia build ballistic missiles. There seems to be extensive Chinese involvement in efforts at domestic surveillance. China's actions in the Middle East are clearly subordinate to its global strategic concerns, the most significant of which is its rivalry with the United States. The Chinese position in the Middle East has been dynamic for the last quarter century, not least because the US position in the region has been dynamic. China has developed strong relations with US allies and adversaries alike. Asked if there have been any recent transfers of sensitive ballistic missile technology between China and Saudi Arabia, a spokesperson for China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs told CNN in a statement that the two countries are comprehensive strategic partners and have maintained friendly cooperation in all fields, including in the field of military trade. Such cooperation does not violate any international law and does not involve the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, the statement said. CNN first reported in 2019 that US intelligence agencies were aware that Saudi Arabia was collaborating with China to advance its ballistic missile program. Normally, the US would have pressured Saudi Arabia not to pursue these capabilities. US officials at numerous agencies, including the National Security Council at the White House, have been briefed in recent months on classified intelligence, revealing multiple large-scale transfers of sensitive ballistic missile technology between China and Saudi Arabia. According to two sources familiar with the latest assessments, any US response could also be complicated by diplomatic considerations with China, as the Biden administration seeks to re-engage Beijing on several other high-priority policy issues. New satellite images obtained by CNN indicate the Saudis are already manufacturing ballistic missiles at a site previously constructed with Chinese assistance. According to experts who analyzed the photos and sources who confirmed they reflect advancements that are consistent with the latest US intelligence assessments. Satellite photos taken by Planet, a commercial imaging company, between October 26 and November 9 show a burn operation occurred at a facility near Dawadmi, Saudi Arabia, according to researchers at the Middlebury Institute of International Studies, who told CNN this is the first unambiguous evidence that the facility is operating to produce missiles. The key piece of evidence is that the facility is operating a burn pit to dispose of solid propellant leftover from the production of ballistic missiles, said Lewis, a weapons expert and professor at the Middlebury Institute of International Studies who reviewed the images. Casting rocket motors results in leftover propellant, which is an explosive hazard. Solid propellant missile production facilities often have burn pits, where leftover propellant can be disposed of by burning. Burn operations are, therefore, a strong signature that the facility is actively casting solid rocket motors. Still, little is known about the ballistic missiles that Saudi Arabia is building at this site, including important details like range and payload. Considering the facility in question was built with Chinese assistance and new intelligence assessments showing Saudi Arabia has recently purchased sensitive ballistic missile technology from China, it is possible that the missiles being produced there are of Chinese design. But there is also evidence Saudi Arabia has looked to other countries for help with developing a ballistic missile program in recent years, making it difficult to identify exactly which weapons system the kingdom is now building at this facility.